and I'm going to ask you to put it in a place where you will not forget it, okay? All right, I think I'm going to get started, especially if Jason's recording it, and then he can do what he needs to do. All right, so I am going to share my screen with you guys and just kind of go through. I know this is going to be information heavy. I usually don't like doing this, but it was a long couple of days of just like pure information. I would just kind of walk away completely overwhelmed after it in a really good way. So I will share this presentation with you too. And then I also do have videos. I was just putting videos everywhere. So my team, maybe if you can help me just know where videos are. There's a couple of videos you want to write down that you probably want to look for or just kind of remind me to get to. One is Beachbody's new doctor, anybody remember his name? Anybody know his name? Luigi, I think, something like that. He did a whole segment on Shakeology that I can share with you. Yeah, Dr. Luigi. And that was really cool. So if someone can just remind me if you want it or if you feel confident in Shakeology and don't need it, but that was a really awesome session. I think I shared it in one of the team pages. It really, in layman's terms, kind of went through Shakeology. Also, the other thing I wanted to share with you is if anyone is looking to push to elite or something higher than that, let me know. I do have several really good presentations on what elite means, how you kind of get to that type of thing. So I'll get started, but if there are questions you have, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask me, I won't see you. Do you guys see this now? Anybody? No? Gotta share my screen again.
It did pop up, Meg, and then I don't know where it went.
Now, do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So feel free to unmute yourself, you guys. I will not see a question box, so feel free to unmute yourself. So first I want to just start with, I thought this was really interesting. Carl and a couple other people got out in the very beginning and they talked about this group of people called the increasers. And last year, what they did was they looked at the people who had the greatest gains financially in their business and they looked at what they did, okay? And so this was really interesting to me about what these people did. And so I want to go over what they did, how they did it, and things that you need to kind of start thinking about, okay? So the big thing, and these sound simple, but kind of do a gut check. Do you actually do this, okay? The big one was that they followed the 4 vitals every single day. That was the base of what they did every single day. That was the thing they did before they checked their challenge groups every single day, and they were inviting machines. And I'm going to talk about that in a second here. They focused on being authentic. They shared just little parts of their day. They let people into their lives, into their home, and kind of get to know them. And they didn't focus on big kind of grandiose posts. They kept track of their growth on Facebook and Instagram, and I thought this was really interesting. For a while, I was really focused on my Facebook growth. Instagram growth is so challenging to me, but this was something they kept track of. Every day, they wrote down how many friends and followers they had, and they worked to improve that every single day. And so that was a big part about it. They centered their posts around 4 to 5 themes, and I'm going to keep talking about this. Kim Fitzpatrick called it your 5 buckets. Bonnie Engel called it like your 5 something else. But the 5 things that define you, and all of their posts were centered around that. And I know this one hit home for me because sometimes I just post to post. Anybody else do that? Just to show of hands, I can see a couple of you. You just post because you feel like you should post, right? And they said, don't do that. You want to keep your themes around 4 to 5 themes and make them real and authentic. They used Instagram stories to help grow their Instagram and their Facebook, and I'll talk about that later. This was another one. They never used corporate material on their Facebook page. They didn't post pictures of programs. They didn't post pictures of Shakeology. They post curiosity marketing photos, you know, like maybe a shake that looks good, but with no definer. but they never posted things that were directly made by corporate. However, once they got those people off of social media's like wall into private messaging or on the phone, then they used corporate's training materials. And then it worked well because by then the person was interested. And I think most people do a good job with that, but that was something that I thought was really interesting too. Most of their posts have a call to action. And at a minimum, they all ran one challenge group a month. It was non-negotiable to not run and advertise a challenge group a month. Okay. So that's what these people did. So how'd they do it? This I talked about last night is they work every single day, but they focus on their business first, not their challenge group. Again, show of hands, how many of you, when you jump on, you go into your challenge group. It's the first thing you do. It's the place you want to be because it's fun and it's great. And yes, we have to keep that challenge group going. It's probably the most important thing we do. But if we're going to grow our business, we have to focus on those other places. I think stats are always interesting. They had 36 posts a week on Facebook and Instagram. They had 3 posts minimum a day to Instagram stories, and they added 10 friends or followers a day. So combined, think about that combined. They had at least 5 active conversations a day. I'm going to talk more about this too, but they would send private messages to people they found via hashtags that were their pillars. So they would search, I'll talk about this later, but they would search people based on hashtags that were them. And then they would message those people. This was huge for me. They invited 12 people a week to coaching, and they added an average of 1.6 working coaches a month. Okay. So, I mean, this is what these people are doing to push their businesses along. And this was overwhelming for me. It made me realize how I'm kind of been playing on this little field. And if I want to make this, I want to get to that next level. These are the things that those people are doing. Okay. So kind of the skills and thoughts, and this is how they really kind of opened up the weekend for us, is do you know the end of your story? And this was really fascinating to me. And the whole idea was, do you know where you want Beachbody to take you? Because if you don't, it's not going to work for you. And so I think that's really kind of one of those things that we have to make sure, and it's probably going to change, but we have to keep looking at what do we want? What's the end of our story with this Beachbody thing? And something I'm going to bring up again is Bonnie Engel said it, and then Carl said it, is nobody buys a ticket to nowhere. And what that means, you guys, is if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you want, where you want to take this business, and if you don't know where you want to take your challengers, no one's going to sign up with you because you're not showing them where you're going. And so I think that's a really powerful thing. And we're going to come back to this at the end. Are you the best at what you can be? You don't have to be the best at fitness. Okay. You don't have to be the best at cooking. You don't have to, you have to find what you're the best at and use that and share that with people. Do you have a culture of discipline? And this is where the theme comes. Are you willing to wash the cottage cheese? So they talked about this Ironman, you guys, and he won 6 Ironmans. This man did. And they showed a picture of washed cottage cheese. And apparently he would wash his cottage cheese to remove, he was just worried about having, I forget what it was, but he wanted to make sure he removed that extra fat that he didn't need. And so he would wash his cottage cheese, and that was the little extra step he took each year as he trained for the Ironman, and which is why, he can say he won 6 Ironmans because he washed his cottage cheese. He took that little extra step. And so the whole metaphor, which I just think is really cool, is, are you willing to do that little extra step? Are you willing to, get up maybe 10 minutes earlier and send out those invites? Are you willing to, at night, maybe not watch your favorite television show and instead put some time into building your business? And if you're not, that's okay too. We know that. But if you know that end of your story and it's a big end and you want to make it, you got to wash the cottage cheese. Okay. I also want you to be thinking about, as we go through this, is where will you be in 2019? Okay. And that was a big challenge they put out to us. I have been kind of playing it safe. And by the end, I had really changed my vision. So we'll get to that too. All right. So this was really fascinating to me. This is Kim Fitzpatrick. I kind of randomly started following her, and I just really enjoy following her. She's Canadian. She had the greatest Canadian accent, a boat, and everything was like throughout her whole presentation. But she talked about this naive vulnerability versus awake vulnerability. And this really hit home to me. She talked about how you need to move from thinking like, well, people will like me if I show up, and if I just post, I'll get all these likes, to, you know what, I could be criticized, people could make fun of me, but I'm showing up anyways because that's who I am. Moving from naive vulnerability to my courage will inspire others, to my courage might inspire people and it might not others. It might actually make others mad, but I'm going to show up anyways. Do you see what's going on here? Naive vulnerability, I'm choosing to speak because it needs attention, and versus when is the right time to share our truth, okay? And so she really talked about this, how a lot of us when we start, and this was me, I would do the work and I would expect I'd post a post and I would expect everyone to be really happy and proud of me, and then I'd get my first negative post and I would disappear, okay? And she said, no, don't expect people to praise you. Don't expect people to always be inspired by you. Don't expect that just because you do the work that it's going to happen right away. It could take a little bit. And I thought that was a really good mind shift to kind of think about, is this idea that we have to be awake and understanding that this is work and we've got to put in that work for it. This was really cool too. I know it got cut off. I was really bad at picture taking. I was furiously writing, but this picture on the left, she talked about how naive vulnerability, she thought she had to be like all the other coaches, and all the other coaches were wearing skimpy clothing and doing photos like this with their husband. And she said she's never actually shared this photo on social media because she hated it so much. And she said this photo on the right here was so her and her family. And she said she actually fell into the picture. It was an accidental photo. Her son was like falling over, hence why he's grabbing the daughter's legs. And she just said that's awake vulnerability, knowing who you are, not worrying about what people think instead of trying to be this person over here. Now, if that is you, that's awesome. And that was like her whole message. If that's you, do it. But if it's not, don't try and be Autumn. Don't try and be, one of those top coaches, because that's not you. So find who you are and kind of be you. Okay. So that was kind of the big thing about these increasers. Any questions on that one, you guys? I'm trying to be aware of the time here too. All right, I'm going to move on to the client. They spent a lot of time talking about the client. And this was Kim's big thing. And don't get overwhelmed with the next stuff I show you. I think it's something that probably with your teams would be good to kind of put together. So she talked about, this is insane to me, that she has 26 diamonds and 26 of her, or she has 30 diamonds. 26 of her 30 diamonds came from her challenge groups. Let that sink in. That is why you go for the SC10. If you don't hit it and you only get the SC6, okay, but now you have added 5 people who may become potential coaches. So she talked a lot about how you need to give your challengers the diamond service, the 5-star service, just make them feel and understand that this is about them and you're going to help them get there. You want to focus your groups on results, not just scale results, but you want your groups to be focused on results matter. You lead the pack. You lead from the front. You show them every day that you're working out, that you're making the tough decisions. Obviously, we know life happens, and we're going to teach them how to accommodate that too, but you should be leading from the front in that challenge group. Be the challenger you want your people to be. Clients, I loved this line, and this was me, and I think this is a lot of my coaches. Clients become coaches when they take control of their life. And think about that, you guys. When you felt in control of your life, that's when you probably made the switch to coaching. So these were some of the ways, and I'm going to go through more of these in a second here, but that they really work to create the customer experience. So when I say they, her and her husband have created this business together. They parallel the coach experience in the groups. They host weekly Zooms with their customers and clients. They do personal development. They promote live trainer certifications. They have challenger Zooms. They announce and introduce every new client, and they call them clients, not challengers. They do weekly recognition activity posts, and I'll show you this in a second, but they would recognize really good posts within the group. They make them feel like part of the community, and they focus on the wins. So those were kind of the big things that she did within her groups. So this is what I thought was so impressive. I thought this was cool too. They do weekly pulse checks. And so she used to be she worked in medicine, and so she would do weekly pulse checks with her people. And basically, it was like, how's your food? How's your water? And I think she actually had them like fill out a form, like a Google form or something like that, or do a check-in in the group, something like that. But she didn't let them get away with not keeping and being honest to their journey. So I thought that was kind of cool. She had a welcome email. She created a welcome email and a resource guide for them. Sorry, my computer's gonna die. And what you see back here, this thing back here was the resource guide. Now, it was like a 39-page guide or something like that. I don't have time to be doing that, but I can create a welcome email. And actually something, and I'd be happy to share with you guys, is I've created a Google form, and every time someone signs up, it's a simple form. It says, what's your goal? What do you struggle with? How can I help? What works best for you? But then if you have any sort of resources, in my team, we have like a folder of pinned resources, and it's got some recipes and things like that, but something to show them that you're a coach. This is who you are. Their groups are so big, but I thought this was kind of cool. It was the workout roll call in the morning, and so people checked in on that post. She had them keep food journals. She had them create vision boards of where they wanted to go with their new life, and I thought that was kind of cool. Instead of being so fixated on the scale, having them create a vision board of how they see their life when they're happy and healthy. And isn't that like a neat idea for people to think about? This was really cool. And someday I'd love to do this. If you look down here, this was their custom health and fitness recommendation. Now think about this. This would be so simple to do with the programs we have. You'd plug in the program and what the program entails for them. But it's their motivation and inspiration. This could be in your Google form, and then you fill it in for them. You know what I mean? Like, you find out their dietary needs, you find out, and then you just send this to them. And now this is their kind of like, this is just, I don't know if I'm going to add this to my plate yet, but just because some kind of things to think about. They really recognize challengers for being involved, because that eventually then kind of encourages them to coach. So this was neat too, the moving people from coaches, from clients to coach. It should be different here. This, every week, what they did was they tracked the clients that could be potential coaches, and they made a list. And she said those were the people who were basically acting like coaches. I see Melissa on here. Melissa would have been one of my A-listers. She was in my challenge group and was basically running the group with me without knowing she was. And so she really worked on acknowledging those clients. She creates a potential coach wall in her office, and this is where she tracks people in her challenge group who are really good at it, and then she works to continue to invite them to the opportunity. Okay. So Instagram, we got a lot of training on Instagram. Bonnie Engel, that's who this is here, seems to be one of the gurus on it. She's hired like outside sources, and she had a ton of information to share with us. So something she really talked about, and just by a show of hands again, how many of you have bought something off of Instagram or Facebook in the last month or two? Anybody? I don't know if Kristen's on here, but she's like our culprit. She buys stuff all the time. But she talked about how the stats now, and I think I have it in here, like 80% of Americans are buying online now. And basically, companies now are moving from advertising and moving to micro influencers, which means they're hiring people to promote their products. Well, you guys, that's what we are. We're micro influencers, right? And so our post should reflect that. Our post should reflect that we are part of this brand, but it's us that they're getting, and we're going to encourage them and support them with this brand. Okay. So that was a really big thing, is I want you to think about it as you are this micro influencer for Beachbody. And you, just like when you see those ads of those shirts on Facebook or whatever it is, that's what we're doing with these products. How are people going to want to buy our products? If they see results, right? If they hear and see why these products actually work and why we believe in them. So that was another kind of big thing for this. So some tips and notes with Instagram. She talked about how this is new this year, but that it could change. She said, do what works for you. Don't do what others are doing. Be really careful of that, you guys. You can follow their lead, but be you. People will see through that. There it is. 80% of Americans buy online from micro influencers. That's what it was. Instagram is good because you can use images to attract people, and you don't need that perfectly worded post. And Instagram stories are a great way to influence people. So how has Instagram evolved? Very picture-based. It should be neat and clean and user-friendly. All of them stressed using the same filter for all of your pictures on Instagram, same wording, same font, things like that. That you should use videos, that you should tell stories, and try and go live as well. If you are not switched over to a business account, you need to do that too, because it's going to give you insights on how people are interacting with your posts. So the hashtags, this was interesting for me. The hashtags always baffle me a little bit, and we learned a lot about that. So basically they talked about using the hashtags to find people, and then using the hashtags to let people find you. So what you want to do, you guys, is you want to explore hashtags that relate to your life right now. So Bonnie is pregnant. That's why she's holding her belly here. She's pregnant. And so she talked about how like now all of her hashtags relate to pregnancy, but that switches. So wherever your life is, your hashtags should relate to that. But a big thing you want to do, and I randomly just found this out, is search the page before you use the hashtag. So my little guy's autism, I thought like autism mom was a great hashtag. It had quite a few followers, and I never went and looked at the page. So I finally went and looked at the page. Guess what it is? All Beachbody coaches. That's it. It was all Beachbody coaches. I'm not going to find my people with using that hashtag. So I need to actually go out and explore, because I would love to help autism moms just kind of get through it. But I need to go find out what's the hashtag they're using, not what other Beachbody coaches are using. So before you use a hashtag, go search it. Where does it land you? Who's being brought up with it? Also, create a list of what you're interested in on Instagram and search those things. So if you like looking at fashion or fitness or food photos, go search those and start finding pages or people that seem to be like you, and start interacting with them. Okay, study where your hashtag goes. Use that magnifying glass, sorry there's a typo there, to search and then look for related hashtags. So if you go into Instagram, I didn't know this either, I'm not very good at Instagram, and you type in like, you know, whatever it is, autism mom, it will give you related hashtags to it. And so you can start searching those. So you can kind of keep taking your search to find the perfect hashtag for you and who you want to attract, okay? So what Bonnie said is, from that hashtag, scroll through people. If you see pictures from someone you like, go to their page, scroll through their pictures. Like and comment on a few pictures, and this is bold. I actually did it this weekend. They didn't respond, but and she goes, message them, tell them how you found them, and ask them if they're a coach. And at first I was like, what? And then the more she talked about it, she was like, because now you've struck their curiosity. Now they're going to be like, what's a coach? What are you talking about? And now you have them wanting to know what a coach is. It's brilliant, okay? And even if they say no, now they're kind of intrigued as to what you're doing, and you know, that type of thing. So you don't always have to do that, I don't think. I think you could connect with in other ways. But if you see someone who you see like, wow, they would be great at this, lead with that right away. Don't lead with something else, okay? All right, so continuing on here. Instagram stories. Here's where they kept talking about people don't buy a ticket to nowhere. People need to know where you're headed, what you're doing. And what they suggested that you do is think of 3 to 4 main things that attract people to you. Think about these 4 questions. Where are you in your life? Are you a mom of little kids? Are you a fur mom? Are you engaged? Are you pregnant? Think about your health and fitness. They have to see you on your journey if they're going to believe that you're a health and fitness coach. Show your personality. Be goofy, be funny. Bonnie had all these slides of like goofy things where she looked really dumb and the whole room was roaring with laughter. But guess what? That's going to make someone stop and go to their page. So show your funny and goofy side, and then show your business side and what you do. And so for that, here's what she said she did. And again, we're talking Bonnie Engel status. Like for us, I think once a month would be good, but run a public sneak peek of your day. And so in your Instagram stories, tell them, I'm going to show you what I do as a coach each day. And just throughout the day, show them when you're working and what you do. Show that it's simple, show that it's fun, and just stick to those 4 vitals. Don't overcomplicate it. Like, oh, I'm reading my personal development, you know, like next, oh, I'm inviting people to my self-love project. Like, I'm excited to meet more women, you know, I mean, stuff like that. So keep it simple. Attract the coach you want. Then the goal is to get them to connect with you through Instagram story. And you should have a private group on Facebook or somewhere set up where you can bring them into a coach sneak peek. One of the big things that was really emphasized, you guys, is that everybody wants possibility in their life. And when I thought about that, I thought about how real it is and how for so many years that was what almost made me angry, is I wanted more from life. And we need to show them that it's possible, because it is, and it's something that they can have too. So that was kind of her big spiel on Instagram. When and what to post. These are the new rules on Instagram. Old rules were 3 to 4 times a day. New rule is just posting at least 1 time a day. Old rules were using like Beachbody as hashtags. What they're finding is, again, those were taking you right to Beachbody coaches. So again, instead posting to who or what defines you. Explore what relates to your life right now and search the page before you hashtag it. Okay. So, she also said you want to try and post at least 1 time a day about the business in your stories. Post 5 to 12 stories a day. Use hashtags and tagging in your stories. You can tag locations. You don't have to be there. Take breaks. Show your life. Don't just make it all about Beachbody, about health, about fitness. Also, recommend things to increase credibility. This was an interesting one. She talked about how she shares favorite products and shows how to use them, but they're products that are going to work, and so then people start to believe you. You get some credibility with them. And so once people start to believe you, then it makes it easier for them to trust you that these products are going to work, right? Because if they don't know you, they're not going to probably trust that right away. The spruce up your feed with filters, lighting, make sure your content matches your hashtags. That was really interesting too. So she said a lot of times people hashtag things, but then their content never shows that. So make sure if you're using the hashtag, your content's going to show it too, okay? Also, this is a big one. People outside our business, you guys don't know our lingo. They don't know what a challenge group is. They don't know maybe what hitting success club is. So try not to speak in Beachbody lingo. Try and keep it down to simple terms for them, okay? Oh my God, I've been talking so much. Does anybody have any questions before I go on to the next one? There's only 2 left. The last one's really simple. Anybody? I can't see you guys.
You're doing awesome. Keep going.
Okay, I'll keep
We're
going.
all processing. Good job.
Oh my God, this is insane. All right. So Melanie presented twice, and I have become a Melanie groupie. I told my team. I'm just in awe of what this woman does, and just how she just really carried herself with some poise, man. I really enjoyed listening to her. So I could have listened to her for hours, but she really talked about life balance, and this was something I really needed to hear. And the first thing, again, you probably see the theme here. She said you have to define this success to you. What does success mean to you? It might not mean being the #1 coach in Team Beachbody, but it might mean never having to worry about money, or it might mean not having to work as much. Whatever that is, or retire early. Whatever that is, you have to define what being a successful coach means to you, and then what sacrifices you're going to make to get there. She said if you don't know that, again, no one's buying a ticket to nowhere, right? If you don't know that, you're not going to attract other people to you. And you're not going to go anywhere because you don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it, okay? So that was the tip of Melanie's iceberg. Let me get into her other stuff here. So I talked with my team about this last night, but I would get in the habit of this, you guys. She talked about something that I think hits home really hard to me. I just really struggle with the cell phone thing, and like going places and everybody's on their cell phone, and getting together and everybody's on their cell phone, and my kids seeing a cell phone in my hand all the time. And so her message just hit home hard to me. And she said every Sunday, she creates a weekly calendar and she outlines the following things. The first thing she blocks off on her calendar is her family time. And that was a good chunk of her day, when the kids came home from school until the kids went to bed, and no phones were brought out during that time. Then she blocks out her workout on her calendar. And then she blocks out her personal business time. And this was the 4 vitals: the inviting, the personal development, the conversations, the following up, that type of thing. Then she puts in, if you had a full-time job, she said, then put that in, and any appointments you have. Then you add in team calls or coach onboarding calls. Then you add in your team time and your challenge group time, you guys. It's the last thing you add to your calendar. And if you want to see an example of this, I have a couple of pictures of her slides. I forgot to put them in here, but it's basically blocking your time so that you know exactly what your work times are and sticking to that. Now, this was really cool too. She said her and her spouse used to fight all the time. And so they started sharing this calendar. And so then he knew what to expect. He knew when Melanie was going to be out of commission. He also knew when his time was. And he knew, like, this is my time. This is when I get her. And so it made a lot less tension in their household. Work time rules, prioritize your to-do list. This was a big thing she talked about. Work on the most important things first. Work on probably the things you don't want to first. Eliminate all distractions. Holy cow, do I have a lot of typos. I told my team this last night, but she said put a Post-it note right over the top corner of your screen so you can't see any notifications coming in from Facebook. Set hours and use them. Focus on you first. I really liked this one. Work with those who are running with you. If you have coaches and you're chasing them and trying to get them to work and they're not doing it, stop. Go look for other people who want to work this and invest your time in them. Time invested equals results, she said. And I thought that was really kind of a profound thing as well. So Kim Fitzpatrick came back on. She talked about this magic formula, which I think tied in well with Melanie's. And she said, you have to do the 3 reels. This was like her magic, or the 3 R's. And the first one was real. You have to be you on social media. The second one was you have to be relatable. You have to show the bad days. You cannot just show the good days. My favorite part was, so she must have done a poll on Instagram. And if you want to see the picture, I can show you. But she wore these green palm tree leggings out with a pink, like, I don't know, satin stripe down the side. And she comes out on stage and she's like, you like my leggings, everyone? And we were all like everyone, I mean, the leggings were quite noticeable. And she's like, Instagram told me not to. I wore the leggings. And, you know, and it was like her joke through the whole thing. And she was like, I'm me. I am unapologetically me. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like my leggings. I like these leggings. But she said you have to be real and you have to be relatable. And I think just the leggings are perfect with that. Like, all right, I'm going to wear these leggings and somebody's going to like that. Somebody's going to want to talk to her because of that. And the last thing, which I need to be a lot better at, is to be resourceful. You should be adding value every day, teaching them something, helping them with something, giving them something. They all talked about how you want to be giving away stuff every day, whether it's advice or recipes or tips or things like that. Because if people know they can trust you, they're going to trust you to coach them. Very simple. Plus the 5 buckets, and those are your 5 brand identifying things. So what are the 5 things that define who you are? I've always struggled with this. I'm slowly settling into like 3 of mine. I would say right now in my life, it's being a mom of a kid with autism. I would say it's being a strong feminist. I would say it's being the mom of a daughter, because that's something I'm really proud of too. That's about where I stop right now. I don't know. Those are my things. Okay. But think about those and try and get all of your posts to be geared around one of those things. Okay. Use these to involve people into your life. The last thing that they've all kind of said was you either have about 30 seconds to capture people's attention on Instagram in a story, not even that, probably the first 10 seconds, or you have them swiping through. And on Facebook, they're maybe going to read the first sentence of your post. And if you don't capture them then, you've lost them. And so you really need to think about hitting hard first and then working through some of the other things so that you keep them with you, okay? All right. So then the last one, and this might be, if you're not here yet, that's okay, but just kind of something to think about, is onboarding new coaches, how important this was. And they really stressed, and I think this is important to remember, how overwhelmed and nervous people are when they sign up. And so we have to help them embrace the idea that they are a business owner. This is still a tough one for me to embrace, and I can see how it's impacted then my recruiting in my business is just focusing on the fact that, yeah, I do own a business. I'm a health and fitness coach, and I will help you. I will coach you through and teaching them the basics. I shared this with my team today, but I would write this down for sure. Beachbody created a training called the First 30. And it's things that coaches want to do in the first 30 minutes of signing up as a coach, the first 30 hours, and the first 30 days. And it's brilliant. It's like perfect. It's simple. It's easy. It makes it not so overwhelming. It leads with a video from Jeff Hill, and they're all doofuses, you know, so it's a cute little video. But I think it's great to help people not feel overwhelmed. They have also taken trainings from the top coaches and put them in the training section in the new online office. We also all have access to Melissa's team-made university. But starting is hard, and this really resonated with me. It said, don't let them be frozen in the gate. And I thought that's so true. I can't tell you how many coaches I've had freeze in the gate. Like they're so excited, and then they just don't do anything because they're frozen and they don't know what to do. So starting is hard. Help them get started. Help them see success as soon as you can so that they understand how this works, and help them to expand their network, to convey that value and to invite and be confident in themselves. Okay. All right. The last thing is just some kind of tasks for you. Anybody have questions about anything though? Anything at all? I talk so fast. I'm sorry. There's anything you have questions on? Curious about? All right. Then the last thing, what I would like you to do right now is this. I would like you to write down in 2019, I will be. And before you say, I don't know if I can do it, I don't want you to think about that. A girl got up and talked, and last year she had been an emerald coach, an emerald. And this year she was a 5-star diamond. Okay. So my point is I kind of set my goal, like I'm going to be a 3-star. I'm a 2-star right now. I'm going to be a 3-star and be premier. And by the end I was like, screw that. I'm going to be an elite coach. But what they all said was, stop worrying about how you're going to do it or how it's going to happen, and just start writing it down. So every morning when I wake up and every time I talk to my team, I'm like, well, in 2019, when we're an elite team, and that's all I'm going to do. And if we don't make it, we don't make it. But I am going to talk to myself like this is going to happen. I have no idea how I'm going to find 4 diamonds. Like none, 0. I have no idea. I know, but you don't count, Mel. So I have no idea. I have to find these diamonds, but I don't care. This is my goal. I'm going to be a 5-star elite coach in 2019. So I want you right now to write down, in 2019, I will be what? Anyone brave and want to share?
I will be a diamond, getting you to elite in 2019.
All right, I like it. Anybody else? Okay, share it with someone, you guys, please, because it will help you to stay more accountable. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to think about what you want. What is the life that you want to live with Beachbody? And I want you to make a quick vision list, not necessarily a vision board, but they had us do a lot of this, a quick vision list of what are 5 to 10 things that you want from Beachbody. Like, why are you here? Is the real question. What are 5 to 10 things you hope to have from Beachbody? Quick, make a list. I do have a sleeper next to me. She just sleeps through all of this. And the last thing, you guys, that I want you to do is this. So a big theme was Beachbody means to me. And after each speaker got done speaking, they told us a word of what Beachbody meant to them. And there were some really cool, pretty powerful words. And there was words like home, jump. There was words like changes. There was all sorts of words, love. And so what I want you to think about in one word, what would you say Beachbody means to you? What is it? Why is it that you're here? How would you define that into kind of one word? And write that down too, and kind of keep that with you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a word for the year. It's why you value this company, why you chose to work with this company. I think I said, Bridget, are you on here? I can't see anyone. Bridget can probably say this too, but
I'm here. I'm just kind of got like a loud background.
Oh, no, and I'm sure you can add in too, but getting to see these head guys speaking and talking and interacting, and just their passion for us and for other people just made me so proud to be part of this company. Bridget, would you agree when you were there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they feel like they're one of you, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they do what they do, and you hear them on all the National Wake Up Call or all the videos that we see, but when you're like there with them, they're right at your level, and they're just real normal people. and just, yeah, so inspiring and pour their heart and soul into the company. And it just makes you get the bigger picture. I just walked away like, wow, they do so much for this company and for the coaches. You know, they're not trying to push us to do certain things so that they can make money, or, you know, it's just, it feels like family, honestly, huge hearts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what it was neat too, you guys, like different from a summit to see, is they, you know, like at Summit, like, you know, we talked a lot about, obviously we want to help people and that's part of it, but Carl kind of got up there and he's like, don't be embarrassed to want to make money. You know what I mean? He's like, that's okay. He's like, you're doing something really honorable. You're doing something noble, but that doesn't mean that you can't be successful too. And I think sometimes, especially as women, we need to hear that that's okay. Because we naturally, if you're a good coach, you're getting that other component of this. You're watching people's lives change. You're seeing people become new human beings and have these new bodies. And that is the coolest part about this job, right? But you don't have to be afraid of the other side of that either, if that makes sense, without sounding tacky. So I think that's something that I need to kind of work on too with that. So anybody have any questions at all? I know I just rambled for a long time. This was like half a notebook worth of notes I tried to cram into. I have a lot of the videos. If there's any you want to see, I recorded. I tried to record a lot of the good ones. Is there anything you want me to try and share? If you need help with elite stuff, I have stuff on that. I would say all of you should put your goal as I will be at the New Leaders Conference next year. I would put that as your goal. Anybody? Yeah? Bethany, you have a question? Oh, okay. Hang on. Oh, go ahead. What?
I was just going to say it's on my goal list for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Mel?
And 3-star. Go ahead.
Good. You only have to be 1 star now to go to it too, you guys. So just so you know. Yeah. So anybody else putting it on their list to go? Yes. Got Rachel, I see. Good. You guys, it's really cool. I told my team last night I was like an awkward soul. I didn't know a single person there. So I would like stand around like this weirdo, and then I finally made a friend, so that was nice. But I still thought it was like the coolest thing, so I recommend it. And maybe all going together and don't be the awkward soul like I was. So all right, if there's anything you guys want, let me know if there's any other questions you have. Yes, there you go, Bridget. I like it. Is that one always in October? Okay. So there's
October or November, but I think you have to be a 5-star by, yeah, like pretty early fall.
Okay. All right. You can do it. All right. Well, thank you guys for being on. I hope that you found something helpful and useful. I probably did a bad job of conveying it all, but if there's any questions, feel free to message me or ask me any videos you want, anything like that. I also, the only friend I did make was part of Melanie Mitro's her grandma. And so she was like, if you and your team ever want anything, like, let me know. We get access to all of Melanie's stuff, and she's like, I'll just copy and send it to you. So if there's anything anyone ever wants, like, just tag me in Team on the Run or whatever and let me know, and I'll ask her. So I made one good friend, I guess, like the right friend. So, all right, thanks for tuning in tonight, you guys. I appreciate it. I'll let you go because I know that time is precious. So thanks for being here. Bye.